Hi everyone. So in my recent video, I just felt maybe slightly misunderstood. I did say that I took a bit of a break and I did comment on this in my last video. And it's funny because I do feel like it was put out the wrong way in a sense. When I say I took a break, I mean that I went into full separation from my twin and I did. I felt like the energy, there was just a disconnect. So when I say a break, it's saying there was this disconnect from that longing and yearning for my twin and chasing, really. I took a break from chasing, which is a positive thing. I've gone into full surrender before, but this time was just so different. I just really felt like I was grounded into the 3D. I felt like I went into being in that sort of masculine energy, just being very logical, very 3D oriented, whereas before I was very much like always connecting with him in the 5D and just feeling the intensity of our connection. So I feel it's really important for me to share more of my story to understand that I do talk to a lot of twin flames, and everyone has their story, everyone has their mission, and we're faced with certain triggers along the way. And I've been through a lot since I last put out my twin flame journey, as has my twin. And it's the healing that has to happen from within. Just when you think you're done your healing, there's more and more, and the depths of it that I go through, and I'm sure my twin goes through, it's very, very intense. And I'm not going to say anyone's isn't intense. I feel all of ours is in different ways, but I do sessions, and everyone has a different level of what they need to go through in this lifetime. And I'll definitely tell you there's a lot of pain within my twin and myself. And we're getting through it, we really are. But where I left off last time was literally last winter around Christmas time. And something had happened after that. I think I had said on my last, it was part 7, my last twin flame story of my journey. Basically, he had talked to me and then he really pulled away. And that was so constant in our journey. Just, I'm sure both of us, very hot and very cold. I would feel like I would mirror him. Like if he pulled away from him, I would feel, okay, just give him his space, let him be, and I would pull away as well. And really, in retrospect, it was a lot of fear on my part, fear of my core wound, which is rejection. That's my worst fear. That's the worst thing you can do to me to trigger me into my deepest levels of pain. So my twin did. He really pulled away all of a sudden around Christmas, and I didn't fully know why. And then I reached out to him, and something started to happen with me. And I do believe it was me going through what some might call the dark night of the soul. I went into such a deep, dark depression. It was honestly horrific. I felt like I was what some might call, being attacked by nags, negative entities. And either way, I know that I can take a certain level of responsibility for that because my vibration, it just became so low. And when I reached out to my twin, I expressed something to him that I was really going through a depression, and he just didn't help me the way my codependent self wanted him to reach back out to me. And he just took it so lightly, like, oh, what's going on? Are you just having some anxiety or something? Like, that's the way I took it. And I was so frustrated with him, and I think I got angry, and first I ignored him, and then I got angry. Like, I was really triggered. I was really in a dark place, and then he said something kind of rude back to me, and I just thought he does not care about me. And again, it was just the perfect trigger of me, treating him like, you're the masculine, you should rescue me out of this painful black hole that I feel like I'm in. And he basically told me, no, I won't. And I later found out he was in his own black hole himself. And I just want to share this in case anyone's going through this, or, any people in the future that might hear this or going through this, if you're listening to this. The darkness that I experienced, I honestly understand why people are suicidal on this planet. I feel like I was meant to experience that and see the darkness that can be. I was having extremely horrific visions of things that go on in this world. I don't even want to repeat the stuff that I was having come to mind. I felt like I was being shown visions of my son being harmed, just really bad things. It got so bad that I laid in bed for at least a week, maybe even 2 weeks if I think back, and I was just done for. It felt like I was so depressed. I was just crying and crying. I was laying in the dark. I was just releasing such intense pain, and I just felt like I have to let go of my twin. This is just not good. I felt like, in a way, I felt like I was tuned into his energy. And I do understand it's both of our energy and now, but at the time I just felt like he's the one that suffers depression. And now look, I'm feeling his depression, and I'm feeling his darkness, and things that he's described to me, I'm feeling it, and this is horrific. I just want to die. This is horrible. And I had to ask my ex for help with my son, and it was such a horribly dark place. I will also say that a while before that, I had stopped speaking with my father. I also felt extreme rejection and abandonment from my father. A situation had come up, and he just really wasn't there for me, and I felt he just rejected me, and it felt horrible. And I didn't speak to him for months as well. So it was really just a dark time in my life. It felt like two very important masculine figures in my life. I wasn't speaking to either of them, and I felt like when I reached out to them, both of them just acted like they didn't care and kind of shrugged me off or ignored me, and it was really triggering my worst pain possible. So some time had passed, and I was in this dark place, and finally I just gathered all of my strength. And again, I say this in case you go through this, and I took charge of it, and I just thought, no more. And basically I was speaking to these negative entities, and I was just saying, no, I'm not afraid, go away. And it was with a sternness and a strength, and I would still get these dark visions and horrific visions, and I would just sort of surrender to it and accept it and say, you're not scaring me, sort of a thing. You're not taking me down. You can show me whatever you want. You can give me any sort of threat. I am not afraid of you. You will not control me. If you do ever go into that dark night, surrender to it and really feel it. Feel what it's showing you. It's showing you shadow aspects of yourself, like pain within yourself, and you can't run away from it. You can't deny it. Just go into it, feel it, and face it, and face whatever you're being shown, and just with open arms, okay, bring it. I can take it. So that had happened. Some time passed, and I'm trying to remember how long it was. It was a good couple months that I didn't speak to my twin. Again, that's very common for us, of course. And then finally, we spoke again. And again, when he and I speak again, it would usually involve me reaching back out to him, and then he would like speak to me a little bit, and it just kind of progressed from there, and we started talking more and more, and we got closer again. And the interesting thing was about this time was when we got closer, he really opened up to me, and he told me some things that to me confirmed this twin flame connection more and more. He was just like, I don't know what it is with you, Talisha. Like, why can't I get over you? And he told me that during the time we weren't speaking, he had come up with the mantra, and his mantra was, excuse my language, but fuck her, fuck her. Like, just kind of like, forget it, like screw her, like, so his mantra was like, fuck her, like, just no, like, move on, forget about it. And he told me how he struggled, and he's like, I don't know what it is with you, and I know my twin, he can move on. I feel like he can just drop a girl like no problem. He's very closed off, his heart is very blocked, he doesn't trust people, and I don't feel like it would take him a lot to get over anybody, to tell you the truth. And I'm honestly the same. I'm extremely disconnected, and just I don't attach to anybody, and I've talked about this in other videos. So he told me about that, and he told me, he's like, I don't know, he's like, I always feel like checking up on you, and what is it with you, like this and that, and a lot of other things, but he just kept describing things that to me were really confirming this connection, and I felt like, oh, okay, we finally made it. And I'm not sure about you guys, but I always feel like that, like, okay, we finally did it. Like, I just purged all that pain. I went through like the dark night of the soul. I healed it. I faced it. Thank you, universe. It's finally time. And everything's really falling into place. So then he told me that he wanted to see me. And I, of course, want to see him. And I've described that he lives halfway around the world. So we're talking about me flying out there. And I told him, because he had let me down before already, and I just said, if you buy the ticket and you figure it out this time, because I already bought the ticket the last time and he canceled on me. So I said, if you figure it out, I will come. And he seemed to almost doubt me, like if I would really go, like he was really questioning it. And some time had passed, and then he would talk about it, but he would just never actually book the ticket. So finally I kind of called him out on it. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you telling me that you want me to go there? And I was trying so hard, you guys, to stay surrendered to it and just let it flow, let it happen when he's ready for it to happen. But something in me was like, no, it's time to talk about this and just speak my truth as well. I've really been working on opening my throat chakra and clearing it and just really speaking my truth. So I was extremely calm. I did not pressure him, but I just was basically saying, please don't tell me this unless you mean it, because of course I love you and I want to see you. And so he seemed kind of funny about it, and funny about the timing of when I was to go there. And then he told me, he's like, oh, maybe you can come out here when my ex goes out of town with my son. And right away it was like a red flag. And I go, why does that matter? Like, they've been broken up for a long time. It was, to me, almost like 3 years or something. And I knew he'd see her, like, with the child and things like that. But he said, oh, they're going away, and it'll just not interfere with my visitation with him as much. And I just thought, oh, okay. But something didn't sit right in me. So I've told you guys before that I do my internet creeping, which I swear, like, most of my clients do it. It's like we can't help it with these twins, and I know it's something we shouldn't do, but in that moment I thought, I just felt suspicious. So I went onto his ex's Instagram, and there were pictures of him and his ex and his child together. So right away, I just felt like worried. And I will say too, and I'd even told him, like, I had a dream that they had gotten back together, and I just felt like alarmed by it. It was a very vivid dream. So I wrote him an angry message like, oh, I looked at your ex's account. I see you guys are back together. And he said, he was actually like angry at me, saying, oh, you know what? Like, why don't you have a proper snoop? Like, there's plenty of pictures like that because she comes here so I can see my child. Because he was away working and she would have to go to a different city where he was working. And he said it was just so he could see his child. So I was getting really angry, back and forth, back and forth. We're arguing. I'm so triggered. I'm like, okay, I've got him caught. But he's telling me, go ahead, ask her if she's my woman for real. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, okay, he must be serious. So then next thing, I'm apologizing. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, with you, there's so much feeling involved that I really am. I get so scared. I've never felt this vulnerable in my life. And I don't know, I said this whole thing and he accepted it. And then I was talking with another friend of mine who is very intuitive, and after this whole thing, and she said, Talisha, I feel like you should ask her. And I was like, no, no, no. I would never, like, I don't know. I just never wanted to make contact with that ex. It just felt horrible to me, like almost like a betrayal and betrayal of the trust or something. Felt so wrong about it. And she goes, what about if I write her? And my friend has a spiritual Instagram page where she just posts spiritual quotes and stuff, and it's very anonymous. And she thought, oh my goodness, why don't I write it from that page? And I'm just going to ask her if they're a couple. So she wrote to my twin's ex and the mother of his child, and the ex wrote back and she's like, yeah, we're together. He's going to move back in with me when he gets back from this job, and we just went on a romantic getaway recently. And she sent pictures and she's like, why? What's going on? Those two started talking back and forth, back and forth. She's telling her all this stuff about me and my twin, and this girl is begging for me to please call her. Like, she really wants to talk to me, and my friend's telling me, and I'm freaking out. I'm losing my mind, you guys. It was like, oh my goodness, the feeling I felt was horrific. But I decided I really needed to just face this, and really my good friend just encouraged me so much. She's like, Talisha, you have to do this. And I didn't want to, like, so badly, you guys. But I got up my courage and I called her, and we spoke for 3 hours, and oh my goodness, it was insane. I heard so much, and I found out so many times that, my twin had lied to me. So much betrayal. On so many levels. Like, I can't get into it. I can't get into all the details, but just that there's been a lot of lies upon lies, and I was crushed, you guys. I was severely crushed. I had gone from a point of just feeling such love and such openness with my twin, and us telling each other our feelings and professing and literally thinking I'm going to see him for the first time in a year, to just everything completely falling apart. My first reaction was to block him, because a big thing that I've been working on is clearing my throat chakra, and I freeze up. Like, I just couldn't even handle to speak to him, and I was so afraid of what he would say. Like, there's just so much fear there. I was so fearful of what he would say, and I was so fearful that he could tell me some story to pull me back in somehow. Just any which way that I looked at it, I wanted to block him. But I wrote him a letter that took me about 2 days to perfect. And oh my goodness, I attacked him, like, to the core. I said everything that I wanted to say, and it was harsh. It was brutally, brutally harsh, the things I said to him. And I didn't go into as much of a victim mode as I went into just this attack mode. I was so angry. And something in me really attacked his ego of, just being this man and having two women at the same time, and kind of, having me, and apparently there was another girl as well in this whole thing that was kind of serious that I found out more about. And I just attacked him on just his fear, and just this rotation of woman. When it had happened, his ex, I wouldn't speak to him, but he spoke with his ex, and she recorded the conversation and she played it for me. And oh my god, you guys. Oh, the pain that I felt, you guys. Like, man, that was the biggest trigger. The things he said about me, and the way he downplayed things. And he has a tattoo for me, and I told her, and he was lying about that. Like, just so many layers upon layers. So I literally went into just shock. I was in such a shock that I just thought, forget this, and I just shut down. I really shut down. And you guys, this had to happen. It was my biggest trigger ever. It was such abandonment. It was abandonment from him towards me, for her, for just acting like I didn't exist. He wrote me a couple times saying, please call me, but he wouldn't write anything else that could be incriminating, because I sent him, he had also written to his ex, and I sent him the pictures of them together that she sent to me of their little romantic weekend together. I sent him, she had forwarded me the email that he wrote to her. I forwarded that back to him to show him that I had that as well. Oh gosh. And he just wrote me and said, please call me. Like, I wrote you a long letter, and it just seems pointless at this time because I already sent my scathing letter. And it just stopped there. And that was maybe 3 months ago now, I think. And there hasn't been a word since. And I quickly did what I do in the time of when I need comfort, I guess. I just thought, forget this. I need to move on. I need to move on with my life. I'm going to date. And quite soon after, I went on a date with a guy, and oddly enough, this guy was also on a rebound. Like, he had just had a breakup as well. Long story short, with that guy, I really felt a deep connection with him, and I received messages that he was a karmic partner, definitely someone to bring on more lessons while I pulled away from my twin. I was told by my psychic friend that he was holding some of the twin flame energy, and it's odd because I could believe it. Something was odd with this guy. I did feel something. But then as time goes by, I'm realizing the same patterns are repeating themselves again. A, I didn't know if this guy's over his ex. B, he's really being hot and cold, just like my twin, like either really, really into me and just professing so much to me, or just pulls away and is really quiet. And then the third thing was that he was also an addict. It was that same pattern that I spoke about in my last video, where he was definitely an alcoholic. I started to wonder if he was also using drugs sometimes, and I just really was like, it finally hit me, you guys, that I was in this pattern again. I'm attracting this. I'm bringing what I feel I'm I am, or I am worthy of. I was raised by a mother who had these characteristics, and I've told you guys before, my ex-husband turned into this. My twin was like this. Now this new guy was like this, that I'm like, oh my goodness, no more. And although I really, really was attracted to and really liked this guy and was drawn to him, I finally found the strength to end it with him and just realize no more. I love myself, and I love myself too much to be attracting this energy. And I think I finally broke a chain that it was like, if I want something different in my life, why am I going to keep allowing that same vibration in my life over and over? I am calling it in, you know? I am creating my reality. I am manifesting this reality. And I'm done with the triggers. I get it. I get the point. And suddenly, within all of this, I've had major healing when it comes to my twin. I suddenly had a dream of my twin, and when I tell you guys I feel disconnect, maybe now you'll understand why there was that disconnect. The connection shut down. I feel like it shut down on both ends. I feel like my twin is full of fear. His ex has his child. They've grown up together. They've been together since she was 15. I think he was 17. She told me a lot about the story. And it's like, although he's told me he knows she's not the one for him, it's like there's that familiarity, and he's told me before she has his child that it was hard for him to let go of her energy in his life. And they also have, from what I understand, a very dysfunctional relationship, and that's what he grew up around, was a very dysfunctional marriage between his parents. And she's from where he's from. I'm not. I live so far away. Like, there's just so many factors that, as I started to ground my energy, as I discussed, and really go a little more into my masculine energy, go into that power center. I was working a lot, on my solar plexus, like just getting into that power center, feeling that strength from within. But the more I went into that, the more I started to finally heal this pain. And it took me to first face the pain, because I first went into such denial. So the first step for me was to even face that the pain was there. And suddenly I just let it go. I gave into it. I surrendered to it. I cried. And I felt that pain. Oh my goodness, that purge. And just finally said to myself, that hurt me so badly. And instead of being so tough, like, whatever, Talisha, just move on with your life, like, just keep pushing forward, who cares, you don't need him, and trying to deny the twin flame connection or whatever it was I was trying to do, I finally succumbed to it. And I really accepted that that hurt me more than anything has hurt me in my life. It was so painful. But then, as I got through that pain, I started to see it as the story. This is the story of my twin and I. And it has been very dramatic. And we're creating this drama-filled story. And I've had enough of that story. It's no more. It's no longer. And I started to have compassion for my twin as well. I thought, here was my twin who came to my country temporarily to work. Him and this girl had broken up, but he had left her with a small baby, and he has a lot of guilt for that. And he met me. He was not planning on falling for me. He told me that, and he was almost like upset that he fell for me. I remember him saying, "What is this? I didn't want to invest any genuine care." Oh, like he was very distressed about me. And he had unfinished business with her. She is karmic in his life. And this girl's gone through so much with him. Like, for all the pain he's put me through, oh, he's put her through like 100-fold, you know? And I had such compassion for her and for her love for him, for both of their desire to want to be a family with their son, their beautiful child. I felt this understanding of the fear that he'd been going through, and I was thinking about all the times he would, disappear or push me away. Like, it's like he was trying to protect me from this, but our love was just strong, and he was trying so hard to push me away, and I was that chaser. I chased him for real. I really did. He tried to let me go many times. I was the one, I'm sure you've heard of my twin flame story if you listen to it. I was the one that always grasped at him, and we'd not talk for a while, and then I'd finally write him. It was always me. So I just started to have this compassion for this man who is torn. He's full of fear. He doesn't want to fully give me his heart or rely on me because he's afraid I'm going to hurt him. He knows he has to face his shit when it comes to me. This girl is a totally different option for him. He's got a certain level of comfort with her, a certain level of familiarity, and I feel like she is that one that is just always there for him. He knows he can always count on her. She's been there for him for years and kind of ready and waiting for him. She told me that she knew about other girls that he had been with, and she would just always take him back, or she said he even had another girlfriend at one point, and she would still, meet up with him romantically and everything. So, I just feel like this is the way it had to be. I've finally come to a place of compassion. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't say it's okay to treat me like this. It's not okay to treat me like this. And I do need to have disconnected from this situation to find my inner strength and my self-worth to know that it's not all right, and to know that I am now ready to attract a higher vibration. And my feeling is that, of course, my twin and I are one and the same. My healing is his healing, and vice versa, and we're both healing our wounds that led us to where we are today. I've learned so much, and I just want to continue to share what I've learned with you guys. There's a lot of messages coming through to me, and it's coming on so strong. And yes, I did have to shut down for a while, but believe me, Spirit, they do not give you a break. So when I say I took a break, I shouldn't have even used those words, because the lessons and growth continued nonstop. It never ends. It's like you can run, but you can't hide, kind of a thing with this twin flame journey. It is so intense. It is so tough. And when I look back and I listen to my story, I just realized, wow, like I was looking back at some texts that we had written each other a long time ago, and now to look at it, I was almost giggling at it. Like, look at us, look at our fear, look at our rejection of each other and our fear, and just really anticipating the worst and literally manifesting the worst as well, because we were creating what was coming out from within. And what's been within both of us is very troubled. It's a lot of pain, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, and it's had to come to the surface. So I will continue with my story as it keeps going. That is really like condensing it into a nutshell. Like, so much had happened from last year when I first started sharing my journey, but I will keep you informed. I'm sending you all so much love and light for your journey. We're all here to support one another, and I'm here to support those who want my help. I understand that my assistance is not for everybody. We are all drawn to who we're drawn to for help, and I just know that the Twin Flame mission, it's my life mission, and I'm just so thankful for all the people I've met. Oh, it's like I have my little soul group, and everyone is so wonderful, and everyone I cross paths with is so wonderful, and all the comments, and good or bad, I just accept it all. It's all growth. It's all beautiful. So that's all I'll share for today, and I'll keep trying to make more videos and share anything else that comes along with you guys soon. Many blessings to you.